Welcome back to Virginia Reports. I am Ryan Gilchrist. Joining me today is Andrew Ringle and Audrey Nakagawa. We're talking about the decision about whether to go back in the fall, assuming college campuses are reopening. A lot of students are considering what to do. Go back to school, take a year off. Andrew, you've looked into this a little bit. What do the numbers say?
Yeah, there was a study by the American Council on Education recently of about 2,000 students that found 1 in 5 current U.S. college students is unsure about re-enrolling in the fall or definitely isn't going at all. When it comes to Virginia universities, many schools require those students to submit written requests in order to defer their admission for a year.
Now, Audrey, I know a lot of schools have made changes to their previously announced fees and tuitions. Can you kind of sum up for us what the trend is and what various schools have done?
Right, so there's a couple big state schools that have announced a tuition freeze. However, with that tuition freeze also comes an increase in various student fees. For example, JMU announced a no tuition increase, but there will be additional student fees. So it's going to be $124 annually for comprehensive student fees, as well as $384 fees for room and board for those students living on campus, as well as VCU is kind of the same situation. They said no tuition increase. However, they are having an increase in mandatory fees. Those fees will be $2,016 in mandatory fees for students in-state. That's a $114 increase from the previous year, and $3,306 for out-of-state students. So as you can see, there is no tuition increase, but the fees kind of make up for that there. But UVA is one of the schools that is having a tuition increase. They announced they're having a 3.6% hike for their academic year, but Christopher Newport announced a freeze on their tuition as well as fees for room and board. So as you can see, all those schools are handling it differently, but those schools that aren't having a tuition increase may have additional fees that students should look into.
Now, Andrew, if a student does decide to take a year off, it's not as simple as just making a decision. There's some work they have to do. What's the process?
Right. Different universities in Virginia have different policies. UVA, new students can request a gap year after paying their enrollment deposit. The deadline for that was May 1st. Now they have until July 1st to request a gap year from the admissions office via email with a tentative plan as to what the student will do for the next year. James Madison has a similar policy. The students need approval from the Dean of Admissions to take a gap year with a detailed explanation of their proposed plan. The deadline for that is June 15th. VCU doesn't have a clear gap year policy on their website, but they did move their freshman response date from May 1st to June 1st due to COVID-19. And it's department-based at VCU whether or not a student can come back to school after deferring their admission. For instance, if they're with the art school, acceptance for that is based by semester. So if they're accepted in the fall semester, they would have to reapply to VCU Arts in the spring in order to come back. But students who receive financial aid from the federal government can still fill out deferment request forms from the Department of Education if they're facing unemployment or economic hardship that would prevent them from paying back student loans. So that's an option if they have those loans coming up.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Andrew. For those of you watching, we'll include some extra information in the description of this video if you have any additional questions about what we're talking about today. We appreciate you so much watching this. If you've made it this far, please consider giving us a like. Certainly subscribe to the channel. More news is coming soon. For now, thank you very much.